It's damn good. Hawaiian shaved ice. Pehea wa mele hini kane. Pupule wiki wiki. Aloha and mahalo for all you wahine. Welcome back to another special edition, a YouTube episodic adventure here on Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel for Chaos Corner. Thank you, Austin Nance and the OTS Tribal Queen, for holding it down, keeping it real, and maintaining. I can't thank you guys and gals enough. Much love and respect for being here. Let's get into Chaos Corner, the show, and story time. For generations, excuse me, a good old-fashioned wrestling feud would end in one of two ways. With either the glorious face, the good guy, wallowing in the glow and admiration of fans, or overcoming the odds and posing with their newly crowned hardware, or with the dastardly heel, the bad guy. Good versus evil. You guys get it. Storytelling, emotional investment, ring psychology, cheating and lying his way to the top, and basking in the demise of the fallen hero. Regardless of the obvious outcomes to the world's most entertaining male and female soap opera, chances are the highly contested feuds are culminated in some sort of over-the-top gimmick match. Which today's industry doesn't seem to do that. Certain matches are there so you build up to them, or they're the finale, or they're in the sequence of the feud or rivalry. And that's what's lost on today's business. Whether it be WWE, AEW, TNA Impact, MLW, the NWA, New Japan, Ring of Honor, AAA, CMLL, the Independents, it doesn't fucking matter. One man, unique, unedited, unscripted, raw dog for you, the fans. So I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. The Iron Man match. Usually set for 30 or 60 minutes. The wrestler with the most victories after that time is declared the winner. And speaking of Iron Man matches, and then we'll get on to other different breakdowns of matches here. Do you know that back in the day, that Dory Funk Sr. and Iron Mike DiBiase in a Texas death match, which we'll cover, went over 4 hours and was called at 2 o'clock in the morning. Actually in Texas, a Texas death match. The only card on the only match on the event. There were other ones scheduled, but Texas death match to a finish, to one man could no longer answer, not like today's version of Texas death matches. Research it. Dory Funk Sr., Iron Mike DiBiase, over 4 hours in a Texas death match. And that's what I present to you, and that's why I say to you on every show that I want you to be better and more informed with facts when you walk out of here than when you walked in here, so you can hold an actual fucking conversation at your next event, venue, holiday party, family gathering, the water cooler, a pub, a restaurant, a tavern, a bar, the beach, the mountains, in your vehicle, on a road trip. And you can actually add something in your chat rooms on whatever podcast that you listen to. Again, I'll say it, this isn't a podcast. This is a fucking show. So just that tidbit of information I want to throw out there. DiBiase and Funk Sr. 4 hours. Now that's history. So the Iron Man match usually set for 30 or 60 minutes. The wrestler with the most victories after that time is declared the winner. Speaking of most victories, I believe in that 4-hour matchup between DiBiase, Iron Mike, and Dory Funk Sr. I believe there was over 40 pinfalls in that 4-hour match. Remember that. History. Research it. Due diligence is your friend. The most famous Iron Man match was held at WrestleMania on March 31st, 1996, when Shawn Michaels battled Bret Hart for the WWE title. After neither man scored a win during the first 60 minutes, Gorilla Monsoon, acting authority figure at the time, ordered the match to go into sudden death, and well, the rest is sweet chin music history. And a lot of you fans from the 90s and even into the 2000s thinks that Shawn Michaels was one of the best ever. I'll give it to you. He was very talented, very credible. One of the best ever, not in my top 20 of all time. Just saying. Hell in a Cell, which you're all very familiar with in this day and age. Established in October 1997, I hope your notebooks are out. Iron Man match, March 31st, 1996, considered one of the best ever in this era, Hart and Michaels. Now we go to Hell in a Cell in the advent of October 1997. This demonic structure has been the make or break for several wrestling stars over the years. The climax for most WWE feuds, as we just saw with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. In recent memory, it has even garnered its very own pay-per-view event. Rikishi Hayriders aside. Hopefully no one got the stink face anytime recently. Perhaps one of the most brutal and iconic spectacles in the last 2 decades, remember we're in the time machine here at Chaos Corner, was that of Mankind being launched onto the Spanish announcer's booth by The Undertaker from the top of the Hell in a Cell cage in the summer of 1998. Sure, his ear was torn off in Germany many years beforehand, but it was this match that forever solidified Mick Foley's status as the king of hardcore. The loser leaves town match. Not to be mistaken for the one-hit wonder, a pink slip on a pole match. That's right, pinks, you punk. Pink slips, pinks, you punk. What movie was that from? We'll race for pinks, you punk. Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Bueller? Pinks, you punk. Grease. Grease is the word that you heard, is the word. Jeff Conaway, John Travolta, Grease. We're racing for pinks, you punk. That's what you get here. Information. Useless tidbits of insignificant cogs and the wheel of life, we'll say. During the late 90s Attitude Era, this match is usually set up for wrestlers on their way out, and thus the storyline ending is an orchestrated work to write the departed wrestler out of the company. Meant much more in the territory days. You actually went to another territory and earned a living, and then would come back 6 months, a year, or whatever later, depending on what your behavior was like. You see this, right? You see it? Read the bio here on the channel and you'll understand what this means to me. Put it over here on the side. The steel cage match, which really used to mean something. In today's day and age, it's persona non grata in the far of the meaning. That's just what I'm talking about. My history, my viewpoint, and that's why you're here. These days, the steel cage is a watered-down gimmick match. Couldn't agree more. Remember the time frame. But during the 70s and 80s, the cage was seen as a quintessential game changer. Just ask Don Morocco, Jimmy Snuka, or even Paul Orndorff, whose Saturday night's main event, the tie, was the closest he ever came to the WWF Gold. What a crime in itself that is for Mr. Wonderful. And Saturday night's main event here in 2024 is returning next month, I believe. After years of hiatus, what a great time in the late 80s into the early 90s for Saturday night's main event. So good concept. I'm glad they're bringing that back. And if you can remember that with Orndorff, go back and check it out on the network. What I say, man? Sorry, Mr. Wonderful. Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, not cage matches and immortal leg drops. Get it? The Royal Rumble match. First won by Hacksaw Jim Duggan back in 1988. Check off your notebook. The Rumble match has become a wrestling institution and a precursor to WrestleMania season, raising the bar of the traditional battle royal concept. This match is a yearly tradition, much like the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, and Survivor Series. Although we know it's changed over the years, you get the basic concept. 1988 is when it first started. The Hollywood Backlot Brawl, which can be named many things in today's business. This once-in-a-lifetime match, which stole the WrestleMania show, came complete with a golden Cadillac, an OJ-inspired white Bronco chase. I don't know if OJ inspired anything except being a despicable human being. A grown man in lingerie, yeah, even back then. And yes, a victory by the often imitated but never duplicated Rowdy Roddy Piper. The Buried Alive match. And we all know how that was started. But I'll remind you. Chances are your feud with The Undertaker will end in one of three ways. A tombstone piledriver, a WrestleMania defeat, or a match in the lost column courtesy of the ill-fated Buried Alive match. Several pinfalls, painfully wretched alternatives, my bad there, several painfully wretched alternatives to this match exist in the form of the casket match. In order to win, you must force your opponent into the ringside casket, and the last ride match, the same concept except the coffin is replaced by a hearse. These matches, although unique in their own right, are about as predictable as a chorus of boos during the Nikolai Volkov Russian national anthem circa 1986. Oh, oh, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. No? Too soon? Too much? What's the best I could do? The Kiss My Ass match. And boy, Vince, looking back on it now and where you are now and all these lawsuits and controversy and everything that's going on years later, you really were a kinky, sick, psycho son of a bitch, weren't you? No? Yeah, I think so. Somebody clip it and send it to him on Twitter. Not to be confused with the Kiss My Ass Club, Vince. However, this painful gimmick match, which saw The Rock beat Mr. Ass with the dumbass stuff he has now and Scissor Me Daddy Ass, despicable, disgraceful, sophomoric gimmick with the Acclaimed. Billy Gunn, which saw The Rock beat Mr. Ass, was far worse than Vince McMahon dropping his trousers on Raw. You know, the genetic jackhammer. But perhaps not worse than Rocky Maivia's hair-raising Survivor Series debut or Kip James' rockabilly misstep. What a bunch of garbage that was. Leave your opinion. The blindfold match. Much like the pink elephant in the room, this match between Jake the Snake Roberts and Rick Martel sticks out like a sore thumb among the annals of pro wrestling gimmick matches. Aside from the most welcome DDT in WrestleMania history, this match helped usher the boring chant from the national pay-per-view spotlight. World War III match. And I hope you don't copyright that, YouTube, because that's what we're headed for in today's current events. And I don't want to talk about all that because this is a temporary relief, a much provided distraction, much needed distraction for all of us. We know what's going on in today's world. The invasion of the border, wars, rumors of wars, the economy, crime is off the limit, the environment, everything is coming to the perfect storm. If he's for us, no one else can be against us. Stay mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually fit with like-minded people. And I mean that. That's a shoe. Three rings, 60 wrestlers, and 4 pay-per-views later, the WW3 never made quite the impact that Turner Brass had hoped. The inaugural event, won by Macho Man Randy Savage, featured a collection of the best and worst of the WCW's power plant. Sergeant Craig Pittman, Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker, not to mention the likes of VK Wall Street, Big Train Bart, Max Muscle, and Pistol Pez Watley. Holy bejesus. The scaffold match. Snacking on danger and dining on death. Oh, what a rush. Is one thing, but partaking in the ill-fated scaffold match at Starrcade 86 is maybe not such a great idea. It's on the YouTube. It's on the network. Go check it out. Fortunately for the Road Warriors and the Midnight Express, the only injury in this one-dimensional match was when Jim Cornette fell off and busted his knee during a post-match squabble, and Big Bubba Rogers moved to the left instead of the right. The scaffold match, and there were many others that did the scaffold match. The empty arena match. We even had one at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling between Bull Dread and the late, great Big Jim Anderson. That's right, just a handful of years ago, independent pro wrestling, the backbone of this fucking business, of this industry, Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling and the Paradise 4 had an empty arena match. As I said, between the late, great Big Jim Anderson and Bull Dread. Unbelievable. Ended out in the parking lot. It's right here on the channel. Navigate the 4,000 videos and you'll find that unbelievable matchup. If Janet Jackson exposing a nipple slip during the Super Bowl halftime was a mistake, then WWE's halftime heat between The Rock and Mankind was a very close second. Speaking of close second, the list can't be complete without mentioning WCW's King of the Road match between Dustin Rhodes and the Blacktop Bully. From the creator of Mac Young, Hand Birth, and the Brawl for All series. You remember the Hand Birth, Mae Young, Sexual Chocolate, Mark Henry? That's what I'm referring to. The Brawl for All series, the disaster that was. Vince Russo, I believe, had a part in that as well. This combination of steel cages and canines brought new meaning to the term lame as Al Snow and the Big Boss Man fought over the prestigious hardcore title. The true essence of this once epic battle was summed up literally by the dog shit crap left surrounding the ring. The Kennel from Hell match. You knew that's what I was referring to, right? Who could forget that? Boy, there really have been some bombers out there as we look back. It's been throughout this industry and business forever. Let me give you some side slammers. 10 dream matches we'd pay to see. Now remember, this is opinion, speculation, rumor, innuendo. Remember, we're in a time machine here at Chaos Corner. Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair in the 1980s. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus the Macho Man Randy Savage. The Rock versus Andre the Giant. Stone Cold versus Hulk Hogan. Sting versus The Undertaker. Ric Flair from the 70s versus Ric Flair present day. Not here in 2024. Remember the time frame. As a matter of fact, let me go back and check the time frame. And leave me your thoughts on top 10 dream matches that you'd pay to see. Now, I'm not into the dream matches stuff. I want actual booking, storylines, emotional investment, storytelling. I say it all the time. So while I'm looking back here at the time frame here in Chaos Corner, let me know what your top 10 dream matches would be from any era. The time frame, let's check it out here, of when this was released so we can remember the time frame. Okay, we're going back here quite a ways, not that far. 2012. So this is from 2012. So we're going back a little ways. I just came out with Ric Flair from the 70s versus Ric Flair in the mid-2000s, we'll say. Santino Marella versus George the Animal Steele, not on my list. Vince McMahon versus Ted Turner at the height of the Monday Night Wars. The Road Warriors versus the Dudleys. Superfly Jimmy Snuka versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Rey Mysterio in a three-way. So, I mean, that's what they present here as top 10 dream matches according to their poll. You let me know what you think. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it and the different types of matches and bouts here. I can't thank you guys enough for being here. We're pumping out the shows, pumping out the comments, pumping out the likes, the viewers, the subscribers. As we kick back and relax here on Chaos Corner, don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more content. As I always say, nobody works harder for you than I do in this space, in this community. I'll say that to say this, because I tell it like it is. Don't you dare miss it.